Happy Sunday, everyone. In a couple days, on August 24th, we will be celebrating the 9th anniversary of Father Moon's ascension. Today, I wanted to take some time to reflect on his life and honor the legacy that he left us. In our unification tradition, when people pass away, we host a funeral service called the Seonghwa ceremony. Let's read. The moment of entry into the spirit world is the moment after your life on earth has bloomed and borne fruit, when you embrace the fruit of your life. It is a moment that comes only once. That is why you should rejoice in that moment. Others should congratulate you as much as they desire and then send you off. In that moment, they should shed tears of joy, not tears of sadness. So in our tradition and our understanding, our life is like the stages of a butterfly, where there's the egg, there's the caterpillar stage, and then there's the butterfly. It's very similar to our human life, where we believe there's three stages. One stage is in the womb, where you're enveloped in this world of water. And then when we're born, we enter this realm on earth where we're surrounded by air. And then when we pass away, there is this third stage where we go to the spirit realm. And that's where we're enveloped with this realm of love. So each stage prepares you for the next stage of life. So it's really important that, just like in the mother's womb, all the nutrients and we're developed fully so that we can function well in the life on earth. And similarly, in order to function well in the life and spirit world, it's really important that we cultivate our ability to love while here on earth. So if you live the life well, it's quite natural and joyful to transition into your next stage of life. And this is the ideal. Now, sometimes people pass unexpectedly and in difficult circumstances. And in those times, we're forced to ask why it happened in such a way. And in those cases, it's really through faith and love that we can come to a deeper understanding of why it happened in such a way, and to help us to overcome the natural, pains we may feel in those situations. When Father Moon passed in 2012, it was truly a shock to our whole worldwide community. I was able to find some images, and I'd like to kind of reflect on that together with all of you. So here is the Seonghwa altar. It was huge. I mean, it was filling the whole stage in the Chunching-won World Peace Center, which was a stadium. This is the view of the whole stadium. Inside the stadium, it was full of the Seonghwa attendees that came from all around the world to really honor Father Moon and his life. I remember lining up also outside, and there was a huge overflow room, even outside the stadium. And even there's inside the stadium, and there's this outside realm of the stadium itself. There's people indoors that are outside the stadium. And then there's the outside, which is also where they were seating for thousands more. Here's the funeral procession, where, they were kind of moving the body to the stage, and having members of the True Family part of that procession. This is some images of dignitaries and religious leaders who are offering their respect through the offering of flowers. I remember actually every member had a chance. There was a section underneath the stadium where everyone had a chance to offer flowers as well. And finally, this is an image of Mother Moon offering her kind of final greeting. I remember when I first found out, I was in the Manhattan Center in New York City on the eighth floor in the back family room. And yeah, I felt so many different emotions. Uh, First was really shock. I felt like he wasn't supposed to pass away, that, being who he was, that, God would work miracles and keep him alive. But the reality was that he passed away. Also, I remember thinking like Father Moon was emphasizing Foundation Day, which was a new kind of day or new beginning for the world on January 13th, 2013, which was just 4 months later. And I remember feeling really, kind of sad or sorry that Father passed away before being able to see that day, which he was talking about so much. Um, and also, I felt serious concern about the future of our community. What's going to happen? You know, this whole our whole community was so centered on every word and direction that was coming out from Father Moon. And so with him passing, it's like, how are we going to actually direct and steer this whole community from now on? And I remember even attending the ceremony and seeing Mother Moon. She also said how shocked she was, and I felt this kind of weight that was on her shoulders now that Father had passed, and seeing her really having to take this burden and this great responsibility. So it was definitely a challenging time. Um, yeah, part of me felt like this wasn't the way it was supposed to be. And there were so many things personally that I also had to process to understand what was going on. But fortunately, Mother Moon held strong and determined to continue Father's legacy um, and God's will for our community. And I remember those first 3 years after Father Moon passed, she really dedicated every day to visit the grave site, the Wonjeon, and really take time to prepare a meal in the traditional Korean way, and spend time to connect in heart with Father Moon. And 3 years later, she declared the completion of this kind of mourning period. And since then has really led our global community to tremendous lengths. So in honor of Father Moon's life, although there's really no way we can cover it all in one Sunday sermon or a lecture or even a workshop 7 days, but I would like to quickly go over some key milestones of his life. The first milestone is when Father Moon received his mission from Jesus at the young age of 15. Let's read from his autobiography. Early Easter morning, after I had spent the entire night in prayer, Jesus appeared before me. He said to me, God is in great sorrow because of the pain of humankind. I saw clearly the sorrowful face of Jesus. I heard his voice clearly. His words were extraordinary, having to do with saving humanity from its suffering and bringing joy to God. Later on in the book, he also shares, my encounter with Jesus changed my life completely. His sorrowful expression was etched into my heart as if it had been branded there, and I could not think of anything else. From that day on, I immersed myself completely in the Word of God. I embraced new words of truth that Jesus was giving me directly and let myself be completely captivated by God. I began to live an entirely different life. Reflecting on that passage, I can't help but feel like what an extraordinary uh, life. And even at such a young age, 15, he was praying in the middle of the night on Easter Sunday, really crying out to find out the why such suffering existed in the world. Father Moon grew up in war-torn North Korea, and he was asking God some serious questions. But really, since that time, since that encounter with Jesus, Father Moon's motivation in everything that he did was really to respond to and fulfill what Jesus asked him to complete this mission of liberating humanity and ultimately to liberate the suffering that God was feeling, observing, and witnessing the suffering of humanity. The second milestone is discovering and writing the original divine principle. I believe this happened when he was between the age of 25 and 32. So still pretty young, but that was a time when he was really seeking to understand the deeper truths, really receiving revelation, and ultimately compiling it into an original text. Let's read. The unification principle connects everything by the laws of nature. That is why it is called the principle. It is heaven's principle. That is to say, it is the eternally unchanging principle. The principle is not a doctrine. It is not a doctrine of the unification church. The principle is heaven's law. The divine principle is the way to become God's sons and daughters. It also inspires us to become loyal citizens. After I debated with the founders of numerous historical religions, God acknowledged the truth of the principle. The divine principle is the fruit of the past, of the present, and of the future. All people must follow it as a higher truth, a higher ideology, a higher will, and a higher way of living and acting. My experience with the divine principle is that it is such a comprehensive worldview, and it provides such clarity around life's most important questions. Questions like, who is God? Or what is the purpose of life? Why is there so much suffering? And, what happens after I die? I remember in college, I studied world religions. And as I studied each of the different philosophies and religions and perspectives, it really further confirmed the profound clarity of truth that's been expressed through the divine principle. Actually, many of the religions have very similar key points, fundamental points. And I just found that in the divine principle, it's articulated in a way that is very profoundly clear. A third milestone is the holy wedding ceremony of Father and Mother Moon, which fulfills the prophecy of the marriage supper of the Lamb. Let's read. During the ceremony, I told my bride, this is Father Moon. During the ceremony, I told my bride that she was about to embark on a difficult course. We are becoming husband and wife to complete the mission given to us by God to become true parents, and not to pursue the happiness of two individuals, as is the case with other people in this world. She responded, "My heart is already set. Please do not worry." This is truly what God has been waiting for, that a true son and a true daughter can finally be united in matrimony with his approval and blessing. This is something that didn't happen with the first ancestors of Adam and Eve, and God's been wanting and longing to restore that, to be able to claim his own children, humanity, as his own children. A fourth milestone is the Washington Monument Bicentennial God Bless America Festival. So this was, I think, 1976, when he was 56 years old. Let's read. The Washington Monument Rally was the largest religious rally ever held in the nation's capital, and over 300,000 people came. The world felt threatened after they saw that huge gathering, and governments tried to use their power to suppress us. The Washington Monument Rally was the culminating showdown of my entire life. This event actually happened before I was born. And I know that some of you watching today were actually there in Washington, D.C. at that time. It must have been quite a spectacle, as you can see here. A fifth milestone is the meetings with the top communist leaders of the time. President Mikhail Gorbachev from the Soviet Union, as well as with Chairman Kim Il-sung of North Korea just a year later. Let's read. My visit to Moscow in April 1990 for a meeting with President Mikhail Gorbachev and my visit to Pyongyang the next year for a meeting with President Kim Il-sung were not simple journeys. They were taken at the risk of my life. It was my destiny to go on these journeys to convey heaven's will to these men. Also, as you can see in the images, Mother Moon was right there beside Father Moon, and she also mentions these experiences in her memoir, The Mother of Peace. So let's read from her experience as well. In the Kremlin, we said to the leaders that they should remove the statues of Lenin and accept God. In the presidential residence in North Korea, we spoke out. On that foundation, President Mikhail Gorbachev and Chairman Kim Il-sung opened their hearts. We never wavered for the sake of the liberation of God's homeland. This is amazing. I mean, talk about risking your life to proclaim God's word. Going into the center and heart of the communist world, talking and meeting with the top leader who can literally, kill you at the snap of a finger or a command, and declaring on behalf of God about God's existence and pointing out the flaws of their ideology. I mean, this is pretty insane, but Father and Mother Moon did that because they felt this was the message that God wanted to convey. And the sixth milestone is establishing UPF, the Universal Peace Federation. This was at the young age of 85 for Father Moon. Let's read from his inauguration speech, the inauguration speech of Universal Peace Federation that Father Moon gave in 2005. The United Nations has made important contributions for peace. The number of member states approaches 200, but the offices of these states do little more than represent and even insist on their own interests. They seem inherently unable to resolve conflicts and achieve peace. For these reasons, I declare today before all humanity the founding of a new international organization, the Universal Peace Federation. Its mission is to renew the existing United Nations and provide a new level of leadership as an able-type United Nations. UPF is still one of our key organizations contributing towards this vision of a peaceful world. I attended their conference. It was called the International Leadership Conference just yesterday for the closing remarks. But really, no other organization can bring experts from all different fields and also heads of state from different countries that have not only different cultures and perspectives, but totally different worldviews, but centered on the vision of peace UPF, the Universal Peace Federation, is able to bring these leaders from all around the world together. And I feel like that's amazing. And that vision started with Father and Mother Moon really launching the Universal Peace Federation. As I said earlier, there is really no way to do complete justice to the full life that Father Moon led. But I wanted to leave you with three legacies that I really appreciate from Father Moon's life. The first is simply the uncovering or the discovering of the principle, the divine principle. You know, I was inspired by a statement from Father Moon that he said one time that we should read the divine principle as many times as we are old. And I was in a workshop, a summer camp, where they were sharing this kind of message from Father Moon. And I remember from actually age 13, after hearing that message, I decided that I wanted to fulfill that kind of recommendation or suggestion from Father Moon. So I looked around and I found the original Divine Principle book, and I remember over here every I started. This is January 7th of 93. I started a condition where every day I would read 7 pages of the book. So from age 13 to age 17, I literally read 7 pages every day for about 4 years to catch up to my age. In terms of the number of times that I read the Divine Principle from cover to cover. And it was really, I mean, I think I didn't fully understand it from the beginning, but as I read it over and over, I became even more clear about the key points that were being made. And I remember by age 15, I was participating in lecture contests and writing articles about the blessing in my school newspaper. The second legacy that I appreciate most is our blessed families. Actually, before I go there, I do want to go back to the first point. I just want to say that the principle has really given me a worldview and just a framework of thinking that has helped me just be clear throughout my life, what I wanted to invest in, what to focus on, about maturing my heart, really creating a beautiful family, and really being a contribution to the world. And I feel like this perspective is so powerful, especially at a young age, to convey to the youth. Anyway, moving on, the second legacy that I appreciate is our blessed families. Let's read. We have conducted what we call the blessing ceremony for over half a century, blessing in marriage hundreds of thousands of couples of all races, nations, and religions throughout the world. The marriage blessing ceremony conducted by the true parents is a sacrament rooted in single-minded devotion. It is a ceremony of true love, and true love embodies sacrifice. Naturally and joyfully, we should sacrifice ourselves for our beloved. This is nowhere more evident than in our cross-cultural marriages. This is brilliant. I believe that the blessing of marriage, this cross-cultural marriage, is the single most important thing that will contribute substantially to world peace, more than anything else in the world. Think about it. When people from different cultures, whether, or different countries, Japan and Korea, like, let's say they get married, right? Their children are both Japanese and Korean. And, there's been a lot of fighting and hatred between these countries, but the children of that kind of couple naturally feels connected to both sides. They will be the embodiment of the union of these countries. They will be the natural ambassadors that can bring peace between those two countries. And Father and Mother Moon have been promoting these cross-cultural marriage blessing for the sake of peace. Imagine getting married for the sake of world peace. That is the vision behind these blessing of marriage. And it's not easy. It says here, we should sacrifice ourselves for our beloved, meaning we need to really overcome all the resentments of the past and challenges to be able to love somebody represented from a different country or a different culture. And so this really gives a higher meaning and purpose to our marriages, and really can contribute directly to world peace. When I was blessed, actually, I was a Japanese citizen. My wife was also, an American citizen. I mean, we're both ethnically Japanese, but I felt in one sense culturally we might have been a cross-cultural marriage. But in any case, any marriage is challenging, but the point is to have this higher purpose in mind. And the third and final legacy that I appreciate most from Father Moon is simply his devoted love for God. Let's read. So why did God call me? Even now at 90 years of age, I wonder every day why God called me. Of all the people in the world, why did he choose me? It wasn't because I had a particularly good appearance or outstanding character or deep conviction. I was just an unremarkable, stubborn, and foolish young boy. If God saw something in me, it must have been a sincere heart that sought him with tears of love. Even now, I insist uncompromisingly on sacrificing my life to live for God's love and nothing else. Yeah, this is really the story of Father Moon's life. There's many who challenge and even critique some aspects of his life, but without a doubt, everything that he did with this kind of heart to liberate God's heart. So, in honor of your life, Father Moon, just want to say that we love you and we truly miss you. And as we commemorate the 9th anniversary of Father Moon's ascension, let's honor his life, the life that he lived, and the legacy that he left behind by applying the principle, studying it, celebrating our blessed culture, and ultimately striving to love God and attend God as he did. And let us work together to support Mother Moon, who is really working the hardest and is at the forefront in keeping Father's legacy alive. I hope you're able to gain something, deep insight, or at least a reflection on the life and legacy of Father Moon. I hope you have an amazing week ahead, and we'll see you again soon. Thank you, everyone, and God bless you.